Your phone rings at 2:47 a.m. Someone as grandfather just died in a hospice bed 15 miles away. You roll out, drive a spotless black van through empty streets, wheel a stretcher down a quiet hallway, and bring him back to a refrigerated room the size of a walk-in closet. You've just triggered the first line item on what will become a $4,000 invoice, and you haven't even turned on the lights in the chapel yet. Running a funeral home is one of the strangest businesses in America. You can predict when someone will die. You can run a sale. You can expand your customer base by being more convenient. Because nobody wants to think about you until they absolutely have to, and yet you still have to pay rent on a building with a pipe organ, a parking lot, 3 viewing rooms, and a commercial refrigerator that holds 6 people every single day, whether anyone dies or not. Let's say you own a mid-sized funeral home in a suburban county. You've got about 12 full-time employees, a licensed funeral director, an embalmer, 2 people who handle transport and paperwork, 3 arrangers who meet with families, a couple of attendants, maybe someone to keep the flowers fresh and vacuum the carpet. Your monthly payroll is around $40,000. Your mortgage or lease might be another $15,000. Insurance, another $3,000. You've got 2 vehicles in the garage, both black, both immaculate, both useless for anything, except moving the dead. Each one costs $70,000. Now add the gear. A prep room with a porcelain embalming table, chemical pumps. A trocar that looks like a medieval weapon and drains built into the floor. A retort, that is the nice word for a cremation furnace, runs about $150,000 installed. It burns natural gas like a pizza oven on methamphetamine and needs maintenance every few hundred cycles because human fat corrodes refractory brick. If you don't have one, you're paying another facility $400 per cremation and losing that margin forever. All of this sits quiet most of the week. A funeral home in a market of 100,000 people might handle 200 cases a year. That is fewer than 4 a week, which means your beautiful chapel with the stained glass and the folding chairs is empty 70% of the time, depreciating in silence. So when someone finally does walk in, disoriented and exhausted and holding a hospital bag of their dad's clothes, you don't just sell them a service, you sell them everything you've been paying for while you waited. The price list is required by federal law. It is called a general price list, and it breaks out every single thing you offer into a separate line. Basic services of funeral director and staff, $1,900. That covers the phone call, the first meeting, the paperwork, the death certificate, the scheduling. It is the overhead fee. You can't skip it. Embalming, $750, technically optional. But if there is a viewing, most states either require it or require refrigeration. And you're not letting a family stand next to a body that has been sitting at room temperature for 3 days. Dressing, cosmetology, casketing, another $300 use of facilities for viewing, $500 use of facilities for ceremony, $500 use of hearse, $350 use of service car or van, $150. None of that includes the casket. Caskets are sold in a separate room with soft lighting and labels like protective sealing and hand-brushed bronze. The cheapest model is particle board with cloth lining. It costs you $200 wholesale. You sell it for $900. The mid-range, $18. Gauge steel with a locking mechanism and velvet interior cost you about $1,000. You sell it for $3. The top-tier solid mahogany with hand-carved corners cost you $4,500. You sell it for $11,000. This is not greed, this is geometry. You only sell 200 of these a year. Your casket showroom is not moving inventory like a car lot. It is absorbing the cost of being ready. If the family chooses cremation instead, the math flips. No embalming, no big casket, no viewing. Usually you still charge the basic service fee because you still answered the phone at 2 a.m., you still drove the van, you still filed the permits. Then you charge for the cremation itself, around $400 if you own the retort. Double that if you don't. You sell them an urn for $200 that cost you $30, maybe a small rental casket for the service. Maybe not. Cremation is now the majority choice in the US. It is cheaper, faster, and requires less real estate on the back end, which is great for families and brutal for funeral homes. Because the average cremation brings in about $1,500 less revenue than a full burial. Your building didn't get smaller, your staff didn't quit. Your monthly nut is exactly the same. You are just getting paid less per case. So what do? You raise prices on everything else. You introduce new fees. Live-scan fingerprinting for the death certificate, $75. Online obituary hosting, $95. Memorial video production, $300. You unbundle services that used to be included and rebundle them as upgrades. You don't do it because you're evil. You do it because the alternative is bankruptcy. Then there is the casket problem. Federal law says families can buy a casket from anyone, Costco, Walmart, Amazon, and you have to accept it. They'll pay $900 for a pine box delivered to your loading dock, and you'll eat the margin you used to make. Some homes charge a casket handling fee to recoup it. Others just fold the loss into the base price, which means everyone pays more because one family went to Costco. You also offer pre-need contracts. Someone who is 75 and still healthy walks in, picks out a casket, writes down what music they want, and pays you in advance. You put that money in a trust account or buy an insurance policy that pays out when they die. Theoretically, in practice, some states let you keep a percentage immediately. Some let you borrow against the trust. Some let the insurance company keep the gain if the market goes up. And if inflation runs wild for 20 years, the price-locked contract you sold in 2005 for $4,000 might cost you $6,000 to fulfill in 2025. You eat the difference. Pre-need sales are how you smooth revenue. They give you cash flow between deaths. But they also lock you into bets about future costs. You can T-control, gasoline, lumber, refrigerant, crematory repairs, the cost of liability insurance after one lawsuit. If you get it wrong, you go under. Now add the fact that you are competing with a corporation. Service Corporation International is the largest death care company in the world. They own over 1,500 funeral homes and cemeteries. They have centralized embalming facilities, volume contracts with casket manufacturers, and enough buying power to crush your supplier pricing. When they buy the funeral home 2 towns over, they keep the old family name on the sign, keep the same director behind the desk, and quietly eliminate every redundant cost. The family walking in has no idea they're now buying from a publicly traded equity vehicle. CIS average revenue per FUNRL is about $7,200. Their EBITDA margin in 2023 was around 28%. They make money because they V-turned funerals into a supply chain. You, on the other hand, are trying to make payroll with a station wagon and a part-time bookkeeper. And here is the thing nobody says out loud. Funeral homes make the most money when people are least able to think. A man dies suddenly. His wife is 70 years old and hasn't made a financial decision in a decade. You sit her down. You walk her through the price list. You show her the casket room. She doesn't negotiate. She doesn't comparison shop. She just signs. Because the alternative is making her husband wait in your cooler while she calls 3 more funeral homes and asks for quotes, like she is buying a water heater. You're not mugging her, but you're also not offering her a payment plan or a budget package unless she specifically asks. The entire system is designed around the assumption that people will pay what you charge because they're too sad and too rushed to fight. Some homes are transparent. They publish prices online. They offer simple flat rate packages. They'll tell you that embalming is optional and that refrigeration works fine. Others bury the base fee in jargon, upsell protective caskets that do nothing, and watch families spend $8,000 on a container that will be underground by Thursday. Both businesses survive. The question is, which one sleeps better? Here is what makes the whole model so fragile. You can't flex. A restaurant can seat 50 people or 15 and adjust labor accordingly. You can't. If someone dies, you have to show up. If 2 people die on the same day and both families want Saturday morning, you now need 2 full teams running 2 separate services in 2 separate rooms, and you're paying overtime to make it work. If nobody dies for a week, you're still paying everyone to sit there and wait, because the second you lay someone off, they'll go work for the funeral home across town, and when you need them again, they won't come back. The infrastructure doesn't scale down. The retort costs the same whether you cremate 10 people or 50. The mortgage is the same whether you host 5 services or 20. Your profit lives in the margin between your fixed costs and the unpredictable volume of human death, and in most of America, that volume is dropping. Families are smaller. People are moving away from hometowns. Cremation is cannibalizing burial. The price per case keeps going up because the number of cases keeps going down. Some owners are buying the cemetery too. Vertical integration. You sell the funeral, the cremation, and the plot. You rent them the chapel, sell them the urn, and lease them a niche in the columbarium wall. It is like owning the theater and the concession stand. The casket is the popcorn. Others are adding side businesses, event hosting, grief counseling, pet cremation. Anything to put revenue on the books between human deaths. You've already got the oven, might as well cremate the dog. And then, once a decade, there is a pandemic. Deaths spike. You are running 2 services a day, fielding calls at midnight, turning families away because you are at capacity. For 6 months, you print money, then it ends. The backlog clears. The death rate drops below baseline because the frail already died. And you are right back to waiting by the phone at 2 a.m., paying the mortgage on a building with 6 empty rooms and a pipe organ nobody plays. So when someone asks how funeral homes stay in business, the answer is carefully. You charge enough to survive the gaps. You upsell where you can. You hope people don't price shop. You pre-sell as many funerals as possible to create a financial cushion. You keep your cars clean and your lobby warm, because the moment someone walks in and feels like they're being processed in a warehouse, they'll leave and drive to the place with the stained glass and the soft music, even if it costs $500 more. It is not a scam. It is just a business with no marketing budget, no return customers, and a cost structure that doesn't care whether anyone dies this week or not. The mortgage is due either